Just as we speak, I just got an email from Harry Reid where he went to the floor of the Senate and asked for unanimous consent, which means the ability to proceed to what we call the Levin-Reid Amendment. The Levin-Reid Amendment would say that a redeployment of our troops would have to start within 120 days, and it would end totally by April of next year. And that the only troops left back would be a much smaller contingent for the purposes of going after the Al-Qaeda that has been created as a result of the Iraq War, because we didn't have Al-Qaeda in Iraq prior to the war, and for the final preparation of Iraqi troops to defend their own country. But that we would move our troops starting within 120 days, and that we would end our engagement in Iraq as we know it by April of next year. Republicans object, which means procedurally we can't go to that vote now until we muster the 60 votes necessary to simply have a vote on Levin-Reid. And so our challenge is to continue to do this. Now, I've said to Harry Reid, as the vice chair of the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, Mr. Leader, we accept these challenges, and I know that because of the time frame it takes and how much time it eats up on the calendar, we say, okay, we have to meet the 60 vote level. I believe on critical issues like the war, it's time to make the Republicans stand on their feet and go through a traditional filibuster so that the rest of the nation will understand that, in fact, what they're doing, who is obfuscating, who is creating the impediment to changing the course of the war. We gave the president more than enough options with flexibility. He rejected not only our will, but the will of the American people. That's why we have a deadline specific that we are pursuing. That's why it is binding, and that's why we're going to insist that, and I think Senator Reid is now going to insist that Republican senators who want to block us have to get up on their feet and spend the unlimited number of hours, and people will visualize what a filibuster is, and they'll visualize the reality of who is standing in the way between bringing our troops home and keeping them in a civil war.
As an elected official, I guess one of your responsibilities is, making these kinds of phone calls and giving consolation on behalf of the state. Yuck. That's gotta be the worst thing probably of your whole job description.
Yuck is an understatement. There's nothing more painful, and I, as someone who has a son and a daughter who could clearly be of military age, there's nothing more painful than to call someone and to say on behalf of the grateful nation, thank you for them committing the ultimate sacrifice. And that would be less painful if we were engaged in a conflict in which our national security was really at stake. But when in fact that is not the case, when in fact this president led us into a war of choice versus a war of necessity, when he lied to us about the very essence of why we had to go to war, it is all the more painful to have to make those calls.
Do they ever ask you about that? I mean, the families have, they're obviously grieving, but I mean, some of them seem pretty frustrated and angry as well.
Well, in all the calls that I've had, most families are still, in bereavement. I think many of them are still coping with the reality that they've lost a loved one. So, but once I did get one mother who said to me, "I appreciate your phone call, but I want you to do more." And I am committed to doing everything I can as an individual member of the United States Senate to bring this forward.